November, the end of the fall. Gray skies, cold. But in Ohio and in Michigan, November calls for joy. An annual reunion which unites two states, yet divides them by colors, by loyalty.
I just hope that people know that I gave everything I had.
By hate.
I absolutely despise that school.
It's just a football game.
Hey, have a good game today, guys.
Hey, good luck. At the end, the loser congratulates the winner, and life marches on. But for one Saturday, every November, life stops here. Scarlet and gray versus maize and blue. It's what's normal. It's what's right. Tomorrow will be that Saturday, in this place, when for 3 hours, life will stop. It's ours. It's the rivalry. It's November. They've played 114 times, never for a traveling trophy, but many times for a championship. And tomorrow, a tradition Ohio State only rolls out for the Michigan game in Columbus. So every other year, the Tunnel of Pride, formed by Buckeye football alumni. Just another way to show this game is just not like the others. And we join you tonight with a live look as the Ohio State Marching Band, just back from their trip to New York City and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Here they are rehearsing Script, Ohio, as they'll perform it in pregame tomorrow, just hours before the biggest game of the season. We'll have much more on their trip to New York ahead in just a few minutes. We welcome you live here overlooking the band practice field just outside Ohio Stadium. Welcome to the rivalry, an hour-long look at Ohio State versus Michigan, the greatest rivalry in all of college football. Joined tonight by Coach Bill Connelly. So many great stories to share with you over the next hour. Bill, you were a part of this game either as a player or coach 21 times. Is there one game that stands out as most memorable to you?
Well, I think as a player, it had to be 1970. We had been upset in Ann Arbor the year before.
And a lot of folks who are younger may not even have heard this name before, but when you hear the end of this story, you'll know why he impacted me so much and why he impacted so many people across this state. 92 years ago, he was born in Macedonia, and when he was 9 years old, he left that country on a train. It took him to a boat, which took him to America via Ellis Island. That was merely the start of the remarkable journey of a true Ohio legend. Today, that journey ended for Pandal Savick. Pandal passed away today at home here in Columbus. To say he's a legend would be short-sighted. He was the first Ohio State quarterback to win a Rose Bowl, did it in 1950. That was after his heroic military service in the South Pacific during World War II. After his business career took off in Columbus, he became friends with a young golfer named Jack Nicklaus, a friendship which would last more than 50 years. Pandal was one of the co-founders of Muirfield Village for nearly 30 years, serving as the chairman of the Memorial Tournament. I met with Pandal several times the past couple of years to help share his remarkable story.
How would one know how his life had been lived until the sun had nearly set for good on the western sky? I've had a wonderful run of life, though, overall, so I've been lucky.
And this statement today from Jack Nicklaus, quote, "He was a mentor to my kids as well as to me. They all looked forward to their fireside chats with Pandal, or as they called him, Biggin. I affectionately called him Mac. Our hearts hurt today over the loss of Mac."
Sports Director Jerod Smalley is following the Buckeyes in Southern California.
Good afternoon from Universal City, California, right near the lot of Universal Studios. And we came here today for a specific reason, to meet a specific Buckeye fan. Obviously, the Buckeyes have come to his backyard. And he's not just any Buckeye fan. J.K. Simmons, Academy Award winner for the movie Whiplash in 2014. His performance won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. J.K. is an enormous Ohio State fan and bleeds scarlet and gray even here in California. Grew up in the Worthington area, went to Thomas Worthington High School. For a brief time, was also an Ohio State student.
I'll get a fair amount of random, walking down the street or through the mall, OH, and I'm usually pretty quick on the uptake.
Say I-O.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you found yourself peeling from those old memories of Columbus and Ohio State in your professional life here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we moved to Ohio from that state up north when I was 10 years old. And my dad had a job at Ohio State in the music department, and started taking me to the games when I was, 11, 12, all through junior high, what we used to call junior high, now referred to as middle school. And high school, I was, in the stands for most of the home games. I had to arm wrestle my mom for the tickets once in a while because she liked to go and watch the marching band at halftime.
But what would you say? Understanding the emotion behind the game, the meaning of the game, what would you say to the Buckeyes?
I think all you got to say is do this for Urban and do this for each other. I mean, that's my speech right there.
That was not whiplashy at all. That was heartfelt, and you made me cry. We're going to have much more from that interview with J.K. later on today on air and also online. NBC4i.com will show you the whole thing. He had some fascinating things to say about his career, his achievements here, and how that Buckeye culture has actually helped him in his career. We'll get to all that for you. The Buckeyes themselves got on the practice field this afternoon in Carson. We'll show you some of that coming up later on at 6 o'clock when we rejoin you live from Southern California. Let's go back to you. The highs
rebound, they score! Calvert!
And the lows.
The Washington Capitals are back in the series
of playoff hockey. The emotional ride is real, and that ride continues today in a deadlock series.
We are not down in the damn series. Nothing went well for us. It's on us. We have to figure it out, and we will.
Live from the nation's capital, we're back on the pursuit for Lord Stanley's Cup. Welcome to NBC4's Road to the Cup. It's the end of cherry blossom season in our nation's capital, one of the most popular times for tourists to visit here. You know who loves visiting D.C. right now? The Columbus Blue Jackets love it here. This afternoon, walking into a building they know quite well now, carrying memories of their two dramatic overtime victories on the ice here just last week. But the home squad coming off a dominant performance in Game 4, giving their home fans renewed hope as we play what's now a best-of-3 series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. With that, welcome live here to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, as we continue our Road to the Cup coverage. I'm Jerod Smalley here inside Capital One Arena for a potentially historic day for the Blue Jackets, a franchise that has gone through so much difficulty in its existence, trying to break through and win a playoff series. Today, trying to take one more step on their road to the Cup to get it done here. They'll play before a national broadcast TV audience for the first time ever here on NBC4. We cannot wait to bring it to you, and we will not do it alone. We've assembled our squad to help cover this big Game 5 for you. Audrey Hassan is back at NBC4 headquarters, and our buddy Dan Perlman is live at where a lot of Jacket backers will gather this afternoon to watch this game at our bar in the Arena District. First of all, before we check with them, let's check with the Jackets themselves, how they're dealing with what happened the other night in Game 4. An ugly result for them, but they're back here today for the third time in the series. They got back on the practice ice at Nationwide yesterday for a full practice day. They clearly needed that after a flat performance in Game 4. John Tortorella said his team played like robots and that they laid an egg. Very nervous team Thursday night. Now it's all even again. In the locker room, they say their discussions are future focused. Here is the official game football, what it looks like. The logo on the front for Super Bowl 52, the Patriots and the Eagles there on the back. This little guy is just a baby. He is less than 2 weeks old. He's already, though, been on a long journey, and it started in Ohio. It's more than a pigskin. It's a piece of history.
I haven't scored in the Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl, I didn't score. I caught some passes. I didn't score, so best believe. I scored this week, I'm keeping that bad boy.
Before they touched down in Minneapolis, the footballs were born in the tiny town of Ada, Ohio, home of the Wilson Football Factory. And the day after the Super Bowl matchup is set, that's the factory's Super Bowl.
Monday we ship their practice balls, 54. We ship another 54 for them to play with practice or game, so they each get 108 balls. It has to be our total focus, or we can't get them done that quick.
Each team then selects 54 game balls, nearly 5 times more than a typical NFL game. And for the fans, the specially stamped footballs turn into a coveted keepsake.
It's going to be very special. Pass it down to my kids, so pretty cool.
I remember when I first came into the league, my goal was to give a touchdown ball to every one of my coaches who helped me get to that point, and I've caught a whole lot of them, so I've been able to do that.
When they kick off the Super Bowl, I think that's our factory's finest moment each year, because I know all the hands that went into making that.
You're probably wondering, why do they need 108 footballs to play this game Sunday? Well, they don't, but they want them. The reason they want to get all those footballs subbed into the game and used is because they want game-used footballs they can use for charitable purposes, to put them up for auction and make money for some worthy causes along the way. So that's a pretty good idea. Also, the footballs that will be used in the game are now under the possession of the NFL. They've got them under lock and key. They'll do one final testing on those footballs to make sure they are appropriately inflated, you know?
Jeez.
And then they'll be set for kickoff come Sunday.